from stampsandscrapbooks.com, and today we're going to be playing with some craft metal. And you know I love me my metal. So I did two cards for you, one for those of you who have metal in your stash and can imitate this right away, and then the rest of you who have to wait for your order to arrive. So I have two separate projects for you, very, very similar. So come on, sit down, we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing I've done is taken a half sheet of Whisper White cardstock and I've scored it at 5.5 so that the card is going to open this way. Next, I'm going to take my 4 by 5.25 piece of red craft metal from Add a Little Dazzle, and I'm going to slip it into a Perfect Polka Dots Textured Impressions folder, and this is Stampin' Up! You're going to put that in there, and then you're going to take your multi-purpose platform on tab 1. You're going to put a cutting plate down and put another cutting plate on top and run this through the Big Shot. I like to use sticky strip to adhere my metal, so I've put 4 pieces of sticky strip on the outside of this piece of craft metal, and I'm going to remove this adhesive backing to expose the sticky side. Next, I'm going to take Happy Birthday to You from Another Great Year, and I've mounted this on a clear block, and I'm going to use some Versamark ink just to ink that image. I've put a scrap paper on top of my workspace, and now I'm going to center this image on my piece of white cardstock and stamp. Once I have that stamped in my Versamark embossing ink, I'm going to take some white embossing powder and just pour that right over the top. I'm going to just shake some of that off. Don't flick the back of it because then too much of it's going to come off. You just kind of shake it off a little bit, and then before I heat it, I'm going to pour this back into the container. Once that's cooled off, you're going to take a couple of ink pads, and I've taken some vibrant colors: Daffodil Delight, Real Red, Gumball Green, and Tempting Turquoise. I cut my sponges into quarters, and then I just put little pieces of cardstock with the name of the stamp because I use them all the time and I don't want to just keep washing and reusing sponges. So that's a great way to do your sponges. So you're just going to dip your sponge into your ink and then rub it onto the cardstock. And this is the embossing is going to resist the color. So it doesn't matter where you put them. When I do color, I always start lightest to darkest. And I want to drop a lot of color on there, so I'm going to just keep rubbing until I get the color that I'm looking for. And then I'm going to go right into it, and I'm actually going to go over that yellow somewhat just so that these colors blend nicely together. I'm going to keep going with those colors. And I'm going to finish off with the Gumball Green. Once you have all your color on there, you're going to take a tissue and just rub the surface of your stamped image to clean off any of that ink because it's going to resist it and you don't want the recipient to get that all over their fingers. Next, I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to mount it onto a piece of white cardstock that's just a little bit bigger. I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this piece because I want to pop it up on top of my metal. Remove the adhesive backing to your Stampin' Dimensionals, and then you're going to center that right on your piece of metal. Next, I'm going to take a piece of white organza ribbon, and I'm going to touch a glue dot to it, and then I'm going to place it so that that white strip goes right down the front of this, and then secure it in the back with another glue dot. Now to adhere this, I put sticky strip around the whole perimeter of the piece of metal. I prefer to use sticky strip to attach my metal to my card, but where the ribbon is, I put a glue dot just to make that sticky. You're going to center this on the front of your card and adhere it. And you want to make sure that you're definitely placing it where it's supposed to be, because once that sticky strip touches that card, you're history. So next I'm going to take a piece of the white organza ribbon, and this piece is 20 inches, and I'm going to make a bow using my fingers. And the way that you do this is you just place the bow over your fingers and then you weave it in and out of your fingers, and then you come around and you tie a knot like this. And then you slip it off your fingers and you have a great double bow. And you could do it with a triple bow too. So I'm going to adhere this to the top of my card using a glue dot. And a simple way to do that is just touch the knot to the glue dot and then find the spot that you want it and adhere. I'm going to use my scissor to cut a decorative edge in this bow. And then to finish off the bottom here, I'm going to use a little rhinestone. Actually, let's use a big rhinestone. So we're going to just put one rhinestone right down there at the bottom. So when you're through, you're going to have a great little happy birthday card to give to someone using your red craft metal. So this time I took a simple piece of Whisper white cardstock and I put that into the polka dot embossing folder and put that through the Big Shot. I cut this 1/8 of an inch smaller than my card. So my card, as you remember, was 4 1/4 by 11. We scored it at 5 1/2 and folded it. This is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm going to just adhere that to the front of my card using Stampin' Dimensionals. And I like to do this when I texturize the front of a card. It just kind of pops off the front. You're going to remove the adhesive backing to those Stampin' Dimensionals. And then I'm going to use my paper piercer and that glue dot, and I'm going to just position this ribbon exactly the way I want. So I want to give it a little ripple, and to get that to stay where I want, I'm going to just drop a glue dot and just put my ribbon right on top. So that's the corner of that. You can also drop another embellishment down here in the corner, but we'll decide that when we put the whole card together. Okay, so we're going to just center this on the front of our card, which is easy to do when you have polka dots. And I think I am going to put a little embellishment down there at the bottom, and my embellishment of choice is rhinestones. I'm going to use one of the big ones, but not the largest. I'm just going to drop that right down there at the bottom. And actually, I think we need a couple more. So let's do 3 of them. We'll do 3 close together. I'm going to put a third one here because we know we're supposed to do things in uneven numbers. So let's line that up evenly, press that down, and we're good to go. So those are your happy birthday cards for today. If you have any questions for me, I'm Kathy at stampsandscrapbooks.com.